Let's kick some ash. GeekyGirl183. Chapter 3, Murder Family. Summary: when the I.M.P get hired to take out a heroic homicide survivor, things sure do happen. Notes: thanks to Pinsuka on fanfiction.net for favoriting and following this story, ICM on Quotev for adding this story to their library, and the guest over on AO3 for leaving the first kudos ever on any of my works here, happy face. See the end of the chapter for more notes. Chapter text warning: the following contains graphic violence, naughty language, horny humans, horny demons, and is intended for mature audiences. Viewer/reader discretion is advised. Third-person POV. In the office of I.M.P, Blitz is currently in a meeting with a client in his office. Millie and Moxie are attempting target practice with a picture of a human family that Luna is holding up with one paw from where she's lying on the couch while scrolling through her phone with her free hand, and Aiden was sharpening the heads of her weapons sitting on the floor beside the sofa since Luna wouldn't share the couch space. A rapid beeping sound caught Aiden's ears from the board of lights on the desk, but it was quickly overrun with the sound of Moxie's grip on his crossbow shaking as he struggled to aim for the photo before Millie urged, "Wow. I feel so loved here." Luna deadpanned sarcastically and Aiden added in a matching tone, "Ditto." "Just take a deep breath." She took a deep inhale and let it out. "But, it's a family. Under what circumstances would we ever need to kill a human family?" Moxie protested. "I mean, if that's what the client wants. Yeah, whoever we're paid to off is fair game in my book." Aiden shrugged as she finished sharpening her scythe head and started examining it to make sure she didn't miss a spot. "Maybe like a shitty dad," Moxie argued before talking in a stereotypical Italian accent, "or a mob family." "That's understandable. But to eradicate an entire innocent seemingly, in this instance upper-middle-class family bloodline?" Luna finally sat up from the couch examining the picture while Moxie had been talking and argued, "Hey. You don't know they're innocent." She pointed to the little boy in the photo. "This kid probably sets dogs on fire." She pointed to the teen girl in the photo. "Maybe this girl gets off to bullying Australian kids online." She pointed to the dad in the photo. "And this guy. This guy definitely watches. Couldn't help that lil jab, could ya?" Aiden raised an eyebrow at Luna as she held her weapon head in the air to further examine it, but Millie spoke back up with, "Exactly. Humans are full of secret nasties. It's why so many of them end up here." But Moxie was about to protest when Millie cut him off with, "Guilty and innocent aren't our business, Mox. Killin' who we're paid to is our business. Shoot the target." She kissed him on the lips after shaking his head around before Moxie aimed the crossbow again as he asserted, "I just think it's a bit excessive, and we could be a bit more selective, is all." Right before Blitz barged into the room followed by their client, a former teacher named Mrs. Mayberry, and was about to introduce her, "Guys, I want you to meet " when a startled Moxie fired the arrow and it ricocheted all around the room causing Millie to jump into Moxie's arms. As the arrow hit the computer, shot a hole in the photo Luna was still holding, nicked the scythe head Aiden was holding, making her almost drop it on herself with a yip, hitting the legs of the eel tank making it wobble a bit, before almost hitting Mrs. Mayberry if Blitz hadn't caught it in one hand as he finished, "Our newest client." Just before the eel tank toppled over spilling water, glass, and the eels onto the carpet, who then sparked up the water-soaked carpet to light on fire that soon spread to the whole room as Blitzo yelled while stabbing the arrow into the desk. "Damn it, Moxie. I just bought those eels." Shortly after, on the sidewalk outside the building, I.M.P firefighters were seen carrying the eels away to their fire truck while Mrs. Mayberry drove off in a taxi with Blitz waving goodbye and assuring her, "Bye EI. And, don't worry, we'll get that skank in less than 24 hours or your first kill is free." "When did we start implementing that deal?" Moxie questioned before Blitz answered while grabbing his face and pulling him close to yell, "When you set fire to my office in front of a client, you fucking dick shit." Before pushing him away as he questioned annoyed, "Now, someone please tell me that fancy book is still intact." "You mean, our only ticket to the other side?" Luna asked in a bored tone before pulling the grimoire out from behind her. "Yeah. Got it. And that's why you're my favorite, Looney. He praised her in a baby talk voice before holding up a dog biscuit. You get a twat, now, you. Stop. Luna rejected it, so Blitz tossed it into the air and caught it with his tongue like a frog. You're so gross. She yelled as she opened the grimoire to the right spell before Blitz waved her off with, "Aw, stop it. I get enough of that from my therapist." I would've taken it. Aiden shrugged as she gave the chalk to Millie to draw a pentagram on the wall of the building before it glowed red to create a portal to the living world, making Luna give her a disgusted look before she walked off to who knows where as Blitz pushed Moxie away by the face to announce, "Now, let's go lick some ass." Making Aiden retch as she thought too hard about that before Millie inadvertently saved her by correcting him. The expression is "kick some ass, Blitz." Just before she and Aiden walked through the portal as Blitz countered, "Mine's better." Before he walked through the portal as well, with Moxie close behind sighing, "Ah, phew-uck." The three imps and Hellcat were teleported in front of a small house by a lake as the sun was setting in the distance. Aiden took point as she searched the house for a good vantage point until she found some windows that led into the dining room where the target, a blonde woman named Martha, and her family were, and gave a small bird-like whistle to signal to the others, who then joined her. "That's gotta be her." Blitz spoke before chuckling darkly, "This is too easy. Moxie, do you want this one?" "Me?" Moxie questioned in happy surprise that was soon snuffed out when he saw Martha inside happily nuzzling her husband's nose with hers as Blitz asserted, "Yeah, this one's simple enough for you to handle. It's just a happy mother who just got out of the hospital." Moxie's hesitation cues Blitz to snag the rifle they brought as he boasted, "You snooze, you lose, Mox." Aiming at Martha while Blitz muttered, "And I've got ya, bitch." "Wait." Moxie cut in with, "Are we actually killing a family?" "Not this shite again." Aiden muttered with a slight facepalm that Mill answered with a jab to the ribs with a disapproving glare. "No, don't be a puss. We're just killing a mother. We're ruining a family," Blitz stated as he readjusted his aim with the rifle before Moxie protested, "But hold on. Let's just think about it." Lifting up the barrel of the rifle as Blitz fired it, making the bullet hit a mirror inside, instead making the four humans inside gasp in fear as Martha questioned, "What was that, Ralphie?" "I dunno, Martha. But, whatever it is," Ralphie answered while shaking his head before pulling out a rifle of his own as he declared, "They're gonna be tomorrow night's dinner." Martha set the platter she'd been carrying down on the table as she pulled out another rifle and chugged down a glass of wine before smashing it to the floor as she announced to her children with a sharp-toothed grin, "All right, kids. Guns out." Her little boy pulled out a gun from under his beaver skin hat and her little girl pulled out a rifle from under the table as Ralphie chuckled, "Looks like we got some rabbits to catch, young uns." Back outside with the imps and Hellcat, Blitz is fuming at Moxie with, "What the fuck was that, Moxie?" Moxie was wheezing, on the verge of hyperventilating, before he let out a strange croaking sound as he apologized while falling to his knees with his hands over his teary face. "I'm sorry. They just seemed so wholesome and happy. I panicked." Guys?" Aiden peeks up over the windowsill to see the family getting their arms ready, but she was ignored as Blitz face-palmed and argued, "Oh, who the fuck is innocent, Moxie? From the moment of birth, you're already a parasite leeching off your mama's tits. Get the fuck over yourself, you baby dick prune." Blitz was harshly poking the top of Moxie's head when a blast shot out from the wall and hit Blitz in the arm, making his black blood spray out as he yelled, "AAH. A new hole. Scatter." Blitz running off in one direction, Millie and Aiden running off in another, and Moxie hiding in the bushes just before another hole was blown through the wall of the house, letting Martha and Ralphie jump through to chase after them before Moxie peeked around, about to jump out of the bush when a child's hand grabs his tail and pulls him back with a yelp. With Millie and Aiden, they managed to hightail it over to the dock in the lake with Ralphie shooting at them, but as soon as Aiden saw Millie about to dive into the water, she yelled, "Oh, he'll know." About to skid to a stop when Millie yelled, "Oh, hell yes." Grabbing her wrist and pulling her with her into the water as Ralphie lost sight of them and called out, "Where'd you go, little critters?" Y'all can't hide long from me. Millie discreetly pops her head above the water with her knife in her mouth while Aiden bursts up, pupils narrow slits in her eyes before she claws at the supports to get a good hold of them on the verge of hyperventilating. Millie rolled her eyes at the over-exaggerated display before bursting up through the dock behind Ralphie, who was now holding a beer bottle, landing in a crouch as she attempted to slash at him while bobbing and weaving through his attacks. However, just as she had jumped up to stab at him, Ralphie managed to swing his bottle upwards and hit Millie in the head as she let out a pained cry, making Aiden's head snap upward and her eyes narrow before she rapidly climbed up to the dock and pulled out her chain with a mace at the end of it. "Well, looky looky, a little kitty cat," Ralphie mocked, making Aiden snarl as she swung her chain around and threw it at him, but he managed to dodge it and was about to deliver a punch to her head when her tail shot out to snag his wrist and flip him onto his back hard enough to disorient him. Snatching Millie's knife from her limp hand, Aiden was about to make the final blow when Ralphie suddenly grabbed her wrists and flipped their positions to where Aiden was on her back with his knee on her chest, one hand around her raised wrists, and the other on her neck as he squeezed and choked her out while taunting her, "You gave it a nice try. Pussy cat." At that nickname, Aiden's eyes practically blazed with anger as her tail grabbed the top half of the broken bottle and made a move to slash him, but he dodged by getting off of her, and, just as she was about to slash at him again, he delivered a solid punch to her diaphragm and she went down gasping and struggling to get air back into her lungs before blacking out. The last thing she saw was Ralphie's smug smile. A short while later, Aiden and Millie awoke to find themselves alongside Blitz with their wrists raised above them, and they along with their ankles were tied to a stake in the middle of a clearing with a torch-lined path and demonic symbols created from painted red branches hung around the trees as Ralphie pours gasoline on them, laughing diabolically, and Martha stands nearby with a torch in hand and skulls on her ears as she grins demonically. "I had that fucking shot. God damn it, Moxie," Blitz hissed just before Martha walks forward while declaring, "Satan, we return your filthy creatures back to the pits of hell. May the root of evil remain honored as we continue thy work." Blitz, Millie, and Aiden continued struggling to break free until Martha threw the torch down at their feet, and the trio all looked in horror as the gasoline ignited, sending a column of flames up. But a few seconds later it's revealed that they were fine, with a little extra sweating on Aiden's part, as Blitz tells her while he, Aiden, and Millie smirk, "Yeah, that's not exactly how it works, lady. Sorry, your fire doesn't really hurt us, but, I mean, I could fake it if that'll get your dick hard. Always a joke bout a wristy or coppin' a root YH ya." Aiden deadpanned while looking away as Martha looked at them in confusion before saying, "Oh. Shit. Well. I'll just shoot you in your smart-ass mouth." Pulling out her rifle by the end of her sentence as Blitzo quipped, "That would be more effective." Making Millie and Aiden yell at him, "Blitz, you tryin' to get us killed?" Martha laughed evilly as she aimed her rifle at the three of them, making them flinch, their eyes closed before they heard her yelp, and they opened their eyes back up to see that a shot had been fired through her head from the way one of her eyeballs flew out of the socket, and she fell dead to the ground to reveal Moxie standing behind her with his gun in hand. "Moxie!" Millie cheered while Aiden added, "Good on ya, Mox." Just as he ran over to cut them free as Blitz told him, "You're not getting your goddamn paycheck for this one, Mox." Just before they were freed and Moxie caught Millie in a hug, Aiden landed on all fours, and Blitz fell to the ground just as Ralphie tripped backpedaling over his wife before retreating back into the woods. "Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm fine," Blitz snarked sarcastically from where he was still kneeling on the ground before Moxie went to help him up, and he and Aiden supported him from each side since his arm was still injured. "I'm sorry, sir. I compromised our objective and put us in harm's way. It won't happen again. I promise." Moxie apologized to Blitz, and he was quick to forgive him when he pulled Moxie into a hug with his arms, inadvertently pulling Aiden into the hug with his tail as he announced, "Apology accepted." Before he quietly threatened him, "But, if you ever pull a stunt like this again, I will fuck you and your wife." Before they were both released, leaving Moxie with a fearful look on his face and Aiden with a disgusted look on her face as Blitz cheered, "Alrighty. Job well done. Now let's get off." Before rummaging in his coat pockets, pulling out a gray and black horse toy, giving it an admiring look before putting it back to keep looking, and pulling out his cell phone as Moxie told them all before running back in the direction of the house. Yeah. Give me a moment. I need to get something I left at the house. Okay, fine. But, hurry up. Blitz told him as he spoke loudly on the phone. Luna, we're ready to come home, dear. Oh hey, here's your knife back. Aiden revealed that she had pocketed Millie's custom knife in her shorts during her fight with Ralphie. Oh thanks. Millie smiled gratefully as she pocketed her knife before complimenting her. Nice job with the fight with that asshole. Still can't believe I got beat down that easy. Aiden pouted as she crossed her arms. Hey, he was a stubborn son of a bitch, plus you left your right flank open. What? Millie got in front of her in a fighting stance, motioning for Aiden to do the same as she explained. When you're fighting, you want to keep your arms close to your torso to protect the weak areas. When you raised both arms up, she lifted both of Aiden's arms above her head to mimic when she tried to stab Ralphie before lightly punching in the same area she'd been punched in earlier. You left yourself open to get taken out. Yeah, but you did the same thing. Aiden countered snarkily and Millie giggled slightly before admitting, guess even I can get out of practice. Think you want to spar sometime so we both keep sharp? Defo. Aiden smirked with a finger gun just as the portal back to hell opened up, and a few seconds later Moxie came walking back up to the group as Blitz asked him there he is. Have a good wank-off session, Moxie? Excuse me? He questioned in disbelief before Blitz added, look, I don't care where you come in the living world. Just come to your job on time, all right? Poking him a couple of times for emphasis before pinching his cheek and running back through the portal yelling, see you at the office. Millie walked up to her husband and placed a hand on his cheek to check on him. You doing okay, sweetie? Better now, honey. I think I just needed a minute to process. Moxie admitted earnestly as Millie touched his chest and nuzzled his face as she cooed, you have a good heart, honey. Just a fuzzy head. Yeah, you may be a bit a dag sometimes, but you're still cool, Tommy. Aiden complimented him, making Moxie look at her with stars in his eyes as he asked, really? I ain't repeatin' myself. She deadpanned before smiling slightly as she walked back through the portal to find herself back with Blitz and Luna as she sniffed the air and snarked, ugh, smells like wet cat in here. Noting how Aiden's fur may have dried off because of the fire earlier, but she had faint stink lines coming off of her as she snarked back, get stuffed. Just as she was about to get in her face for possibly another rumble, Millie came through the portal in the nick of time to pull her back by her arm before Blitz noticed, where the fuck's Moxie? Before peering back through the portal where a bright light was seen in the distance with Moxie not moving as he stared at it, so Blitz went over and grabbed him by the neck to pull him back through. A short while later, Blitz had called Mrs. Mayberry over to announce that Martha had been killed, and they were all celebrating with a cake that had "We Did It" written on it with icing, a banner that read "Killed the Bitch" on the wall behind them, and everyone was wearing colorful party hats. Luna and Aiden were digging into the cake slices they'd been served. Moxie was staring at the cake with a distressed look on his face, and Blitz, wearing a sling on his injured arm, and Millie were cheering on Moxie along with Mrs. Mayberry. Ah, did you see my little Mox? Yay! Oh, yeah. We did it. Oh, Moxie. Well, here's to another mission accomplished. And Moxie finally learned not to fuck up. Blitz cheered. And killin' people isn't that big of a deal if they try to kill you back. Millie added cheerfully as she hugged Moxie and patted his head. That's messed up. But, I paid for it. Mrs. Mayberry laughed, making them all laugh except for Moxie as Blitz declared while raising a fist, yeah, fuck that family. Later that night, as everyone was starting to disperse back home, Mrs. Mayberry caught Aiden out on the street and asked her, do I know you? You seem really familiar for some reason. Tapping a claw to her chin before Aiden shrugged and told her in a blasé tone, sorry teach, never seen you before in my life. Well, all right then. She dropped the issue easily before waving to flag down a taxi that sped her away. A few seconds later, Aiden looked all around her to make sure no one was following her as she ducked into the alley behind the I.M.P building and kept walking until she was arm's length from the alley wall. Closing her eyes, the pinkish gemstone on her choker necklace glowed and she opened her eyes back up to reveal her pinkish red eyes and freckles glowing too as she drew a pentagram on the wall with light following her finger before circling the whole thing and making an opening motion with her hand to make a portal open to an alleyway in the living world. Looking around one last time, Aiden jumped through the portal and it closed behind her, leaving no trace of her presence there. Notes, and holy shit, that new episode yesterday was fucking crazy. Please try not to comment any spoilers for at least a week to give people an opportunity to watch it, but feel free to DM me if you want to talk about it, smiley face. Also, it looks like I might be able to upload a new chapter every week for at least a little while since I've got chapters up to CHERUB done, happy face. Till the next chapter, bye.